In this video we want to talk about quality circles. Now, as the name suggests, quality circles are to deal with quality and ways to promote quality within organizations. This particular approach is quite simple. Employees who are interested in quality and who are deemed to be in a position to make contributions and suggestions in relationship to quality, these employees are, let's say, invited to one of the offices in the company for a prolonged lunch one day a week, for example. And they meet in a very informal setting, and they talk about issues associated with their work. It may be facilitated. Someone may sit and make notes as they're talking, perhaps produce the notes on a flip chart or on a whiteboard, and they talk about it, and the following week they follow up with further suggestions, and 1 week's talk and chat leads to next week's agenda, and in this way quality issues are discussed, and this can be the focal point for good thinking, good suggestions related to improving quality and quality procedures within the organisation. That's a very simplistic way of looking at quality circles, but let's work our way through some ideas about them and look at their background and see how they work, at least according to the literature. So it's a voluntary group of employees who work on similar tasks or share an area of responsibility. So particular workers from a particular area within the business, from logistics or from the office environment or from production or the stores or whatever area, these group of workers are simply invited to share their ideas and comments and just talk about it. It's very unstructured. Just talk about the issues and see what suggestions they can come up with, and this will form the basis for perhaps changes in policy later. They agreed to meet on a regular basis to discuss and solve problems related to work. So they agreed to meet up, say once a week or once every 2 weeks or whatever is deemed appropriate, and they may sit around for an hour and chat about ideas, and they may have a facilitator. They may ask for someone to be there to just make brief notes of what's been said and record the notes so that they have some sort of record of who said what and what the suggestion was, and no information has been lost, no good ideas are being lost, discussed and perhaps forgotten about. So to avoid that, they may have some sort of facilitator, someone who accommodates what's happening. But they agreed to meet on a regular basis and discuss various issues. They operate on the principle that employee participation in decision making and problem solving improves the quality of work. So the whole idea is that they're involved because they have a contribution to make. They can assist the organisation to improve its quality, to improve its procedures. And because they work day in, day out in particular parts of the business, they have, in a sense, expert knowledge of that area. And they're in a better position to make suggestions and recommendations. They understand the tasks at a very micro level. They understand every bit of the tasks and are in a position to comment on the processes that are currently being used and make recommendations perhaps to improve them. Now, the characteristics of the quality circle. Well, the group of employees who meet, these are volunteers. No one should be coerced into attending. They should genuinely be interested. If employees are coerced or forced into attending, they may make contributions which are not very productive, or they may even be disruptive within the group. So ideally, the employees who are involved should be volunteers. There should be rules that are set down and priorities agreed. Although it's very informal, there should be some sort of structure. It's not total chaos. So they should sit down to say, well, in today's talk we will deal on a particular part of the work, and we'll see how it's going, and we'll just talk about what could be done to improve it. So they may work their way across the whole functional area bit by bit every week, perhaps taking a different part and discussing it, and going back the following week and looking at ideas that were raised the previous week, and having reflected on what happened, are in a better position to make further comment. So they're setting out rules and priorities for what they want to achieve, but very informal. And the decisions should be made by consensus. It's not the situation where the majority rule wins, because the dissenting voices may have more cogent arguments, may have stronger arguments. But because the lost on a numerical head count means the business is going in the wrong direction. So quality circles work when everyone within the quality circle agrees, there is consensus. And in that way, the management know that the quality circle feels that this is the right thing to do, and all the feelings are in that direction. Use of organized approaches to problem solving. Sometimes to enable the quality circle to work, they're given particular tools to solve problems. Tools in the sense of ways of thinking, structured ways of thinking, problem solving exercises. They may be guided in the way they think, but they shouldn't be influenced regarding the issues. Just if a particular tool can be used and it breaks a deadlock in their thinking, then that could be introduced. Perhaps an experienced trainer could be used to gently expose them to different ways of looking at the problem, and perhaps getting them to work in smaller groups, and brainstorming ideas, and bringing back ideas, and then moving forward. All members of a circle need to receive training. They can't just be brought in and expected to produce miracles. They have to be trained in how to properly make a contribution within the circle. In other words, they should understand the purpose of the quality circle. They should understand its importance in terms of the survival of the business, the productivity of the business, the profitability of the business, the competitive situation the business finds itself in, and so on. So once there's a clear understanding of the need for the quality circle, then the individual attendees should be given some training. They should know that their comments should be relevant to what is being discussed, and it should make a contribution. It could be critical of what's been discussed, or it could be supportive. Either is acceptable, but they should be trained to make relevant contributions. And the members need to be empowered. They need to know that whatever ideas they come up with, they're not going to be punished by the organisation for making silly contributions. They need to be able to speak freely. They need to be respected by the other members of the circle, the other employees who are attending the quality circle, and be respected by management. They're making contributions. Their contributions may be not that good, or will never be implemented, or they may be tangential to what's been discussed, but they are trying their best to make a contribution, and they should be respected for that, and they should be empowered. They should be enabled to make those contributions. They need to have the support of senior management. They need to know what they're doing is being approved by senior management. They're not just some maverick group that's meeting up to discuss the organisation. They know they're there because senior management want them there. They are respected for their opinions and their experiences, and management is trying to learn from them. And this in itself will create more motivation within the workplace. because they are receiving more respect and being recognized for their contributions. There should be increased productivity coming from the use of quality circles. It should lead to better productivity and more efficiency in terms of the delivery of the particular processes that are under consideration. So it should lead to that, because the different contributions, if they're enacted, if they're put into place by the management, they have been thought out by the people who do the job on a daily basis. So it's important that they are implemented, and that should lead to improved productivity, but also improved quality. The employees will know where quality is going wrong, what's happening, why is the product not a high specification, why is it poor quality. They may identify where it happens within the production process, so that efforts can be concentrated to remove that problem and improve quality. But also, they will spread the word about the importance of quality, and as a consequence there will be more awareness of the need for quality, more understanding of why it's important, and more emphasis on it, and a better output as a consequence. Of course, it's a boost to employee morale, because they are in effect implementing their own ideas. They've come up with the ideas, and now the ideas are going to be implemented. If the ideas were acceptable and understood, and there was a logic to what was proposed, and the employees will see it that this is their idea that's now being implemented. So of course it will boost their motivation, it will boost their morale, their interest in the organisation. They will have more respect, and they'll empathise with the organisation more fully. The problems with quality circles is that there may be inadequate training for the members of the quality circle, that they have not been fully briefed on its importance, or how to go about it, or how to make good contributions, and how to prepare in advance of the meeting, and indeed how to reflect after the meeting, so that they're able to come back later and refine comments and suggestions that were made perhaps the previous week or at the previous meeting. So there needs to be adequate training, and one of the problems is that there may be inadequate training, so that either the circle is not being productive, it's not working effectively, or alternatively it could be leading to counterproductive suggestions. The employees who attend the quality circle should know what its purpose is. They should be briefed adequately, and they should know its importance and why their contribution is being sought. Of course, quality circles may not be truly voluntary. The employees may feel that they should attend because they've been asked by management to attend. So they feel that if they don't, there may be some sort of punishment in the future, or they may not be held in high esteem by the management. They may not be seen as motivated towards helping the business. They're not committed to the business. So there may be some sort of psychological coercion to attend. So it's not truly voluntary. There could also be a lack of management interest. The fact that there's a quality circle almost jumps layers of management. The line managers, for example, are in a position to make recommendations and suggestions. So why was it not the case that the line managers have already made these suggestions and improvements? Why has the situation jumped over layers of management to the employees? Was it not the function of management to see improvements and implement the improvements? So it may be an issue of management, and there may be an issue in dealing with management and getting management to commit to the use of quality circles, because the management feel that this is in some ways taking their status and their image and their power, and it looks bad for them that the employees are now being consulted. Quality circles are not really empowered to make decisions. So they are, in a sense, in inverted commas, talking shops. These are groups of people who are met, who come up with ideas, discuss ideas, criticize ideas, and generally speaking, they're focused in on particular functions within the business, particular processes, and their contributions are very valuable. They can lead to high productivity, as I said earlier. But the quality circle itself can't do anything. It can just make the recommendations and talk about why the recommendations are so good, or what was likely to happen if they're implemented, and so on. But they can't themselves do it. It does ultimately require management to give the go-ahead for some change. The summary and history and history of practices related to quality circles. Well, they were first seen in the United States in the 1950s, thereabouts. After the Second World War, the main thrust of management seems to have been on quantity. Quantity of output was mass production, and there was very little discussion of quality. But some writers started to focus in on quality and the need for quality, and this became a movement almost in some parts of the world, in America. But the Americans themselves didn't adopt it. It went mostly to Japan. And we can put a name on some of the key figures. Dr. Kaoru Ishikawa in Japan was instrumental in putting emphasis on quality circles. And it was the Japanese who adopted the quality movement and started really the quality movement. So Japanese products became seen as high quality. Japanese cars and Japanese electronics. These were very high quality products, which ultimately meant that the rest of the world were starting to lose sales to Japan, because consumers wanted quality. So it was reintroduced. It was taken back and reintroduced in the West. But by this time, Japan had established a reputation for very high quality products. So the circles had, in a sense, started somewhere in America, gone to Japan, totally taken by the Japanese and implemented by the Japanese. Then it went back to America somewhere in the early 70s. The 1980s brought the total quality management movement into existence, and this was a reduction in the use of quality circles. Total quality management meant there was an emphasis on quality right throughout the production process, right throughout the supply chain indeed, from raw materials to distribution at the other end. So there was a great deal of focus on quality right throughout the production process, which meant there was no real need to have quality circles. Quality circles looking at particular processes within the organization, and perhaps in the following few weeks looking at a different process. It was very piecemeal, and there was no need for this, because now there was a big emphasis on quality right throughout the organization. Quality circles can be a useful tool, however. Having said all of that, despite the introduction of TQM, there are still parts of the organisation that perhaps could benefit from expert opinion from the employees who are working within that area. So there's always scope. Depends on the nature of the product, depends on the organization, the size of the organization, the structure, and so on. There may be areas that will benefit from this type of quality circle approach. But that's all we're going to deal with in the context of quality circles, so we're going to leave it at that. These are some of the references consulted throughout, and let's leave it there and say thank you for watching.